Hey there, welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today I want to show you around some of the new interior technology on the 2024 and newer Chevy Silverado heavy duty as well as the GMC Sierra heavy duties. Now, this should apply to all the trucks with the fully digital gauge cluster as well as the newer Google integrated infotainment system. And overall, this should apply to the half-ton trucks as well, both Chevy as well as the GMC versions. Now, I am going to break this out in two separate videos. This one's going to focus on the digital cluster, everything you can do, all the menus, pages, options as far as the cluster goes. And I will have a separate upload as far as the actual head unit, radio screen, and the infotainment system. So let's not waste any more time, get right into it, and talk about the digital gauge cluster. So here's the digital cluster, how it comes out of the box, the main home screen from the factory. Now, the one difference I believe that applies to the 2024 heavy duties over that of the half-ton trucks is going to be the seatbelt indicator here in the top left-hand corner. I'm not exactly sure if the half-ton trucks have that or not, but I believe that is something new that the heavy duties do have. But anyways, here on the left-hand side, you do have your digital speed readout as well as your built-in compass that shows we're facing east. That will change with the vehicle direction, so that is continuously updating. In the center, you have your digital speed readout, again in miles per hour. And on the right-hand side, you do have your digital tachometer with your current drive mode selection, as well as your current transfer gauge section. And then down below, you do have your current gear selected via the column shift in this exact truck. Now, if you do change the drive modes, you can see we go into off-road mode. That will update the actual drive mode selection here on the right side inside of the tachometer to show what current drive mode you are in. And then back to normal mode, as you can see, the graphics do change. So that is a very cool cluster. It's really high resolution as well. And overall, I think this is very handy for most people out there. Now at the bottom, you do have some additional information. Out of the box, this does only come with the coolant temp on the left-hand side. So that is this little bar here on the left. In the center, it will show your current fuel range via mileage. As you can see, we are under the threshold where it just displays low. But if you do have a little bit more gas, or depending on your gas level via this gauge right here, that will update and show your estimated range based on your current driving history. And some other functionalities for this gauge cluster are just going to be some normal dummy lights, if you will. Here at the bottom on the left and right hand side down here, you can see the seatbelt indicator is currently illuminated because I do not have my seatbelt on. But if I were to buckle that very quickly, that should go away and indicate that the seatbelt is indeed buckled, as we can see right there. So those are just kind of some of the normal dummy lights. There's ABS down here, there's TPMS, airbag, brake. On the right-hand side, it looks like there's some sort of diesel indicator for glow plugs, TPMS, traction control, and you do have stability control over there as well. So those are the overall functions outside the box. Now, using the scroll wheel on the right-hand side of the steering wheel, it's just the center scroll wheel in between all the arrows. You can cycle up and down on the center portion of the screen. Now, you can see as I did that, the digital speed readout does move to the top portion up here on the digital readout, so you can always maintain eye contact with that if you would like. And cycling through some of the pages, it immediately goes into your drive summary. So this is your current summary of your drive since the last restart of the engine. Now, we haven't gone anywhere, so we've just been sitting and idling, but that will update as you drive. Then you have your trip 1, trip 2, timer, tire pressure on every wheel or individually option, which is nice. Some of the driver assistance, lane keeping tech, oil life, brake pad life, air filter life, and then a blank page at the end. And then if you scroll one more, you do have your info page options, which you can go into, which I'll show you guys here in a second, and customize what information or what pages are shown in this scroll wheel. Now, scrolling back through the pages, I do want to show you that you can reset or customize some of these individual pages here just from the steering wheel controls itself. So you can see at the bottom, it shows a little reset. If you press in the scroll wheel on the steering wheel, you'll see it pops up, are you sure you want to reset? It defaults to no, but if you arrow over to the right, press the center scroll wheel again, and you can see it does reset that trip or whatever page you're currently on. And again, your info pages brings up the additional options you can add or subtract from the list that you scroll through using that center scroll wheel. So we'll go into that right now. The info page options, press down on that button. You can see it brings up a list of different options with a little green check mark on the right-hand side. So if it's currently checked, that is available to scroll through using the steering wheel controls. And if it's unchecked, that means that page will not show up as you scroll through the list of options. So you can see here is fuel economy, that is unchecked. If we check that, go back and scroll through our different options, the fuel economy page will now show up in that order. right here, as you can see, that page does now show up. That didn't show up before because that box was unchecked. So essentially we can check and uncheck each of these pages if you want it to show up as you're scrolling through the different options and pages. Now you can see here towards the bottom, there are some unchecked pages which are very handy depending on the situation you're in, such as the trailer brake gain, off-road, engine hours, transmission fluid, and you can uncheck that blank page so it does not show up while you're scrolling through the different pages itself. So like I said, this is very customizable. I will show you the off-road page as well as the trailer brake page. Actually, we'll just check them all so I can show them all to you. And we'll scroll through them very slowly once again so you guys can see each of the different page options. So once again, drive summary, trip 1, 2, timer, tire pressure, driver assistance, oil life, brake pad life, air filter life. There's your trailer brake gain, which does come unchecked from the factory, but you can easily turn that on. Here's your off-road pages. It shows your pitch and roll, as well as your transfer case in the center. So you do have 2 indications of your current transfer case, one over here next to your drive modes, one there in the very center. There's your engine hours, transmission fluid temperature, blank page, and then your options page at the very end. Now, if we start out here again from the main home screen, if we arrow left, you'll see that brings up even more settings and options. So first you'll see options, you'll see no phone. If you do have a current phone paired to Bluetooth or Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, that will show up some of the interactions there. You have your current navigation. If you have something set in the built-in navigation, possibly Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, it will show up your directions there. So if you set an address and need turn-by-turn directions, it will display some of that information in the center of the gauge cluster. You have your current media playing. So if we select XM here on the infotainment system, say just select XM, that will display your current channel that you are listening to on the actual gauge cluster, which is nice, and you can change that as well. So if you hit the little scroll wheel at the bottom, this changes your source. Change it to FM, and that'll change it to your current favorite FM station under that particular source. Scroll left one more time, and that brings up the information page, which I just showed you is the main home page here on this gauge cluster. So scrolling to the left once again, I want to show you the different options in the display layouts you can change. So we'll click on display layout. This gives you 4 different display layouts that changes what is displayed on the actual gauge cluster. So if we're going to progressive, you can see this changes the overall layout but gives you much of the same information. If we go to digital, this really simplifies what is displayed on the actual gauge cluster, because as you can see, it really doesn't display all that information. There's no speed readout other than a digital display in the center. There's no tachometer or anything like that. Basically drive mode, transfer case, gear selection, same units at the bottom here in your current direction, and that's about it. And if we go into clean, once again, this is much like the digital, and there's really not much information that is currently displayed. Just the digital speed readout in the center, a couple other units, including your current gas fuel level, and that's about it. So this one is definitely very clean for people who want that simplistic look on the cluster. So we'll go back to classic, and that looks very familiar to a lot of people, and I'm sure this is the one that a lot of people will use on a daily basis. Now scrolling down, you can change the left and right side information and what is displayed inside of that little circle. So you have compass, time and temp, tire pressure, fuel economy average, trans fluid temp, and you can choose to keep it blank or keep nothing displayed over there if you would like. On the right side, you can choose between some of the same information, including your drive mode, compass, time and temp, tire pressure, fuel economy average, trans fluid temp, as well as you can have nothing displayed over there as well. In the lower section, you do have a few different options. Like I said, from the factory, it comes with the medium setting, so it gives your coolant temp as well as your fuel level. If you turn it to maximum, it will also include your coolant, fuel, battery voltage, as well as your oil temp. And if you turn it to minimum, this is going to be the same as just the fuel level in the center or some of the other digital layouts as far as the overall cluster design goes. So really you can customize it however you'd like in this current display layout, but we'll go ahead and leave it on medium. Units just changes between US and metric. Speed warning is just basically an alert that will alert you if you exceed a certain speed limit. You can see it's set at 55 miles an hour. You can turn on and off the speed sign display. You can take a look at the software information and reset all of the digital cluster settings if you got it from a pre-owned owner or just want to change all these settings back to how it came from the factory. You can do so there via reset to defaults. There's your built-in navigation. We'll go ahead and quickly set a navigation here on the Google Maps so you guys can see exactly how that looks. And there immediately you can see it gives you some turn-by-turn directions. It doesn't bring up the map or anything in the center, but it will give you the turn-by-turn directions with the current street that you're on. So that is nice if you have a destination set on the built-in infotainment system. If you cancel it, you can see it goes back to being just a standard old compass. So as a whole, that is pretty much all of the information that you can configure and display on the 12.3-inch fully digital gauge cluster. Like I said, you can display some of the phone information if you do have a phone connected via Bluetooth or Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, which is wireless in this particular truck. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and now better understand how to use the fully digital cluster inside of the new 2024 and newer Chevy GMC heavy duty trucks, as well as the half-ton trucks, which have had this cluster for several years now. If you guys did find this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button below. Greatly helps out the channel and these videos. Subscribe if you guys are not already subscribed. And don't forget to check out the full tour of the 13.4-inch infotainment system inside this truck, as well, like I said, the half-ton vehicles as well. And let me know down in the comment section below what your favorite feature is on this fully digital cluster. I really think it's high resolution. I like the drive mode indicator and all the functionality that does cross over to the infotainment system. I like the built-in turn-by-turn direction. So let me know that down in the comment section below. Once again, hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, hope to see you guys in the next one.